Imagine a land where ancient temples whisper tales of glory, yet their borders ignite modern wars. Welcome to the sands of history, where the echoes of French colonialism still ripple through the Thailand-Cambodia conflict, shaping a century-long struggle over sacred sites like Preah Vihear. In this deep dive, we'll unravel how France's imperial ambitions redrew maps, sowed discord, and left a legacy of tension between two Southeast Asian neighbors. If you enjoy peeling back the layers of history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to join us on this journey. For those who'd like to support our work, check out the Help Us Financially links in the description below. The dawn of French influence in Cambodia. To understand the French colonial role in the Thailand-Cambodia conflict, we must first travel back to the 19th century, when Southeast Asia was a chessboard for European powers. By the mid-1800s, Cambodia was a weakened kingdom, caught between the ambitions of its neighbors, Siam, modern Thailand, and Vietnam. King Norodom, fearing Siamese domination, made a fateful decision in 1863. He requested French protection to safeguard his realm. This move, intended to preserve Cambodian sovereignty, instead ushered in nearly a century of French colonial rule, setting the stage for territorial disputes that persist today. France established Cambodia as a protectorate in 1863, integrating it into French Indochina by 1887, alongside Vietnam and Laos. While the French promised indirect rule, preserving Cambodian institutions like the monarchy, their administration gradually tightened control. King Norodom's power was reduced to a ceremonial role, and French officials dictated major decisions, from judicial systems to economic policies. This colonial grip extended to territorial negotiations, particularly with Siam, which had long claimed suzerainty over Cambodian lands, the Franco-Siamese treaties, and border disputes. The seeds of the Thailand-Cambodia conflict were sown in the early 20th century, when French colonial cartography redrew the region's borders. In 1904, France and Siam signed a treaty agreeing that the border near the Preah Vihear temple, a stunning Khmer relic perched in the Dangrek Mountains, would follow the watershed line. However, the 1907 Franco-Siamese treaty, following a French survey, produced a map that deviated from this principle, placing Preah Vihear and its surrounding area on Cambodia's side. Siamese representatives on the mixed commission did not approve this map, but they also failed to conduct a competing survey or lodge a formal protest, leaving the border ambiguous. This map became a flashpoint. The French, leveraging their colonial authority, pressured Siam into ceding the northwestern provinces of Battambang, Siem Reap, and Sisophon to Cambodia in 1907, in exchange for territorial concessions elsewhere. These provinces, rich with Khmer heritage, including the iconic Angkor Wat, had been under Siamese control since the late 18th century. The French restoration of these lands to Cambodia was a cultural victory for the Khmer, but it deepened Siamese resentment as they viewed the territories as rightfully theirs. The 1907 map's legacy is central to the modern Thailand-Cambodia conflict. While Cambodia accepted the French-drawn borders, Thailand later argued that the map was not legally binding, citing their lack of consent and the deviation from the agreed watershed line. This disagreement fueled nationalist sentiments on both sides, with Preah Vihear becoming a symbol of cultural and territorial pride. World War II and shifting territories. The Thailand-Cambodia conflict escalated during World War II, when global upheavals provided an opportunity for territorial revision. In 1940, after France's fall to Nazi Germany, the Vichy French administration in Indochina faced a weakened position. Thailand, aligned with Japan, seized the moment to reclaim lost territories. The French-Thai War, December 1940–May 1941, saw Thai forces invade Cambodia, reclaiming Battambang, Siem Reap, except Siem Reap town, and Preah Vihear provinces. Japan, mediating the conflict to stabilize its regional influence, forced France to cede these territories to Thailand in 1941. However, this territorial gain was short-lived. After World War II, France regained control of Indochina and pressured Thailand to return the provinces to Cambodia in 1946. The French, struggling to maintain their colonial empire, established an autonomous zone in Battambang and Siem Reap, granting Cambodia partial control but retaining military oversight. This back and forth intensified Thai-Cambodian tensions as Thailand viewed the French-mediated border changes as an imposition, while Cambodia saw the return of these provinces as a restoration of historical rights. Cambodian nationalism and the path to independence. French colonial rule also sparked Cambodian nationalism, which indirectly fueled border tensions. In the 1930s, Cambodian intellectuals, particularly the Khmer Krom from southern Vietnam, began criticizing French policies and Vietnamese dominance in the colonial administration. The newspaper Nagaravata, published by Son Ngoc Than and Pach Chun, voiced anti-colonial and anti-Vietnamese sentiments, laying the groundwork for independence movements like the Khmer Issarak, some of which operated from Thailand to avoid French reprisals. By the late 1940s, France, weakened by World War II and facing global anti-colonial pressures, granted Cambodia greater autonomy within the French Union in 1947. King Norodom Sihanouk, a pivotal figure in Cambodia's push for independence, capitalized on this shift. In 1953, he launched a royal crusade for independence, briefly exiling himself to Thailand and later to Siem Reap to pressure France. His dramatic campaign, amplified through international media, forced France to relinquish sovereignty on November 9, 1953. However, independence did not resolve the border disputes. The French-drawn maps, particularly the 1907 survey, remained a point of contention. In 1962, Cambodia took the Preah Vihear dispute to the International Court of Justice, ICJ, which ruled 93 in Cambodia's favor, citing Thailand's long acquiescence to the French map. Thailand reluctantly withdrew its troops, but the decision did little to quell nationalist fervor or resolve underlying cultural and historical claims to the temple. The modern conflict, a colonial legacy. The Thailand-Cambodia conflict, particularly over Preah Vihear, flared again in the 21st century, with deadly clashes in 2008 and 2011. The most recent escalation, reported in July 2025, saw Thailand launch airstrikes and accuse Cambodia of firing rockets, resulting in civilian and military casualties. The root cause remains the colonial-era maps, which both nations interpret differently. Cambodia adheres to the 1907 French map, while Thailand disputes its validity, claiming the temple and surrounding areas based on historical control and accessibility. The 2025 clashes, centered near Prasat Tamuan Tom, another disputed temple, highlight how French colonial cartography continues to haunt the region. Nationalist sentiments, fanned by political instability in Thailand and Cambodia's alignment with China, exacerbate the conflict. Thailand's suspension of Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra in July 2025, partly due to her handling of the border crisis, underscores the domestic political stakes tied to this historical dispute. France's role in this conflict is not merely historical. Posts on X suggest that modern French involvement could inflame tensions further, as both nations grapple with the legacy of colonial borders. A proposed demilitarized zone, DMZ, has been floated as a solution, but without addressing the underlying historical grievances, peace remains elusive. The broader impact of French colonialism. Beyond borders, French colonialism reshaped Cambodia's social and political landscape, contributing to the conditions for conflict. The French neglected education, favoring Vietnamese bureaucrats over Cambodians, which bred resentment and fueled nationalist movements. Their restoration of Angkor Wat, while a cultural boon, was as much about French prestige as Cambodian heritage. The infrastructure they built, roads, ports, and urban planning in Phnom Penh, strengthened Cambodia's economy, but primarily served colonial interests. The French also marginalized the Cambodian monarchy, reducing kings to figureheads and installing compliant rulers like Sisowath after Norodom's death in 1904. This manipulation sowed distrust among Cambodians, some of whom, like Sivotha in 1885, rebelled against French-backed monarchs. These rebellions, often supported by Siam, further strained Thai-Cambodian relations, as Siam saw opportunities to exploit Cambodia's internal divisions. Conclusion. A legacy. Cast in stone. The Thailand-Cambodia conflict is a testament to the enduring impact of French colonialism. By redrawing borders, particularly through the 1907 Franco-Siamese Treaty, France created a fault line that continues to spark violence and nationalist fervor. The Preah Vihear Temple, a symbol of Khmer heritage, stands as a reminder of how colonial ambitions can fracture relations between neighbors for generations. As we've explored, France's role was not just about map-making, but about power, control, and the imposition of a foreign vision on Southeast Asia's ancient lands. Thank you for joining us in the sands of history, where the past shapes the present in profound ways. If this journey through time has sparked your curiosity, please like, share, and subscribe to keep exploring with us. To support our efforts in uncovering these stories, check out the Help Us Financially links in the description below. Together, let's keep the flames of history burning bright.